Welcome in this new lesson of Module 3, Project Design. In this lesson, we will share the methodology of building the right partnership for your project and how to define the budget. Building the right partnership for a project is of paramount importance for several reasons. Complementary expertise. Partnering with individuals or organizations that possess complementary expertise and skills can greatly enhance the success of a project. By joining forces with the right partners, you can tap into their specialized knowledge, experience, and resources that you may lack, thus filling in any gaps and improving overall project outcomes. Shared resources. Collaboration through partnerships allows for the pooling of resources. Partnerships can provide access to financial, technological, human, and physical resources that might otherwise be challenging to obtain individually. Sharing these resources can lead to increased efficiency, reduced costs, and accelerated project timelines. Increased innovation. When diverse perspectives and expertise come together, the potential for innovation significantly increases. Partnerships often foster a collaborative environment where ideas are shared and creative problem solving is encouraged. Different partners bring unique insights and approaches, which can lead to breakthrough solutions and novel approaches to challenges. Risk mitigation. Sharing risks is a critical benefit of partnership. By spreading the risk across multiple stakeholders, the burden is reduced on any single entity. Partners can offer support during challenging times, provide alternative solutions, and help navigate unforeseen obstacles, ultimately increasing the project's chances of success. Access to networks and markets. Partnerships can grant access to new networks, markets, and customer bases. Collaborating with the right partners can expand your project's reach, increase visibility, and open doors to new opportunities. By leveraging the existing networks and the relationships of your partners, you can tap into new distribution channels, target a broader audience, and enhance your project's market penetration. Enhancing credibility. Partnering with reputable and established entities can boost the credibility and reputation of your project. Aligning yourself with trusted and respected partners lends validation and fosters confidence among stakeholders, investors, and customers. It can enhance your project's perceived value and increase its chances of attracting support and resources. Long-term sustainability. Building the right partnership is crucial for the long-term sustainability of a project. A well-established partnership can extend beyond a single project, leading to ongoing collaboration, shared learning, and mutual growth. Long-term partnerships provide stability, promote ongoing development, and create a foundation of future initiatives. With the exception of the simplest projects, in most cases, it is essential to build a partnership with other organizations in order to be able to tackle projects of increasing complexity that aim to achieve truly effective, meaningful, and impactful goals for stakeholders and society at large. Currently, designing and implementing a project with other organizations that share the same principles and objectives with us should be a simple matter. Yet, there are many experiences that see critical situations arise, which can lead in some cases to the early closure of the project, or in any case, to the achievement of only partial objectives. Building the right partnership is an essential phase of the project, and it must be carried out in the initial phase of defining the objectives and activities so that the project is born already shared. There are several aspects that should be considered when defining a partnership. Cooperate from the very beginning. The partnership has to be set up from the phase of project implementation. Collaborating with a partner from project's inception ensures that both parties share a common vision and goals. By involving partners early on, you can align your objectives, values, and strategies, setting a solid foundation for collaboration. This shared vision creates a sense of unity and increases the chances of success. Identify common interests. Every organization wants to implement a project to achieve one or more goals. In turn, these goals address specific needs and interests that are important to each organization. It is important to work together with maximum transparency to identify common interests and avoid unnecessary waste of time or resources. Sign a formal commitment. Partners should have a clear definition of each other's roles and expectations. It is essential to define a mandate letter, which partners have to sign before applying to the project. Mandate letter contributes to the entire path success. Optimize activities. In order to optimize resources and save time, partners should define action plan that can work concurrently in the achievement of project goals. Communicate constantly. Partnership is based on mutual exchange. You will need to foster advices exchange between partners, reply promptly, and enlarge the mutual communication exchange and feedback. This applies also to a clear management approach. You must be clear at every step of the project, such as the implementation and management of the project, the administration, and the financial management. Last but not the least, it is important to define mutuality rules. You should establish as soon as possible mutuality rules with regard to decision-making, responsibility, and disputes management. In the end, share experiences. Promote free and clear condivision of skills and experiences in order to foster all participant empowerment. When you have identified a call for proposal and plan to submit a project for which it is essential to build a partnership, it is time to search for suitable partners. To be effective in this activity and avoid wasting time on searches that will not lead to the desired outcomes, you can follow some practical guidelines. Define the requirements of a potential partner. You can write down a definition of partner requirements in terms of experience, management, curricula, skills, accessibility to networks, lobbying activity, financial capacity. Identify typology. Identify an exact type of organization, for example, public or private, large or small, service provider or lobbying agency, same or different sector compared to yours. No matter the typology, you and your partner should always share the same policy orientation. Evaluate geography. You should ensure a fair and wide partner distribution, ease in traveling if necessary, and preferably at low cost. Assess financial capability. In all projects, even fully funded ones, there is always the possibility of having to pay expenses upfront. Therefore, the financial capacity of potential partners must be assessed. In addition, previous experience in terms of money management must also be assessed. In fact, some small organizations that have never managed complex projects may not have an adequate organizational structure capable of properly managing, monitoring, and controlling money flows. In the end, consider proper searching channels. Consider the effectiveness and availability of networks and contact you will use for searching. Implementation of partnership-based project and a project of transnational cooperation is more difficult than when the project is implemented by a single organization alone. However, in return, the project can generate unique experiences, broaden perspectives, and achieve better and more effective results. Now, let's start to define what is a budget and how we can work on it. Developing a practical project budget is an essential aspect of the project design process. When creating your project plan, it is crucial to determine the estimated cost of implementing project activities. This knowledge allows you to identify the necessary funding and ensure the project's success. Furthermore, aiming for maximum impact while minimizing costs is important. During the project design phase, you should assess the costs associated with each activity and explore alternative, more cost-effective approaches to achieve your project objectives. Many funding organizations have specific guidelines regarding the expenses they will support. They may impose a limitation on staff costs, equipment expenses, and indirect or support costs. It is vital for you to consider the entire project cost, including activities and other associated expenses, and devise a plan to cover any costs that the funding provider will not support. When creating your budget, it is essential to include the following expenses: human resources or staff. Allocate funds for the personnel required to implement the project, including hiring new staff members specifically for the project, and accounting for the time existing staff members will dedicate to the project, including support staff. Travel and transport. Budget for costs associated with transporting staff and the resources to and from project sites. This includes expenses for vehicles, fuel, and vehicle maintenance. Equipment, supplies, and support costs. Allocate funds for the operation and support of the project, such as office rent, utilities, stationery, and necessary equipment like computers and vehicles. When certain costs can be shared among other projects, such as head office expenses, include a reasonable percentage of those costs. Project activities. Budget for the expenses related to implementing project activities, such as the provision of goods or services to beneficiaries, cash grants or vouchers, venue rentals for training, and printing costs of publications. Monitoring, evaluation, and reporting expenditure. Allocate funds for conducting surveys, including baseline and endline assessment, as well as ongoing monitoring activities. If an evaluation is planned, include the associated costs. And in the end, diversity and inclusion. Budget for expenses related to reasonable accommodation that enable the participation of individuals with disabilities in project activities. These may include covering travel costs for participants who cannot work to attend community meetings, or expenses for converting project documents into accessible format. Here's an example of typical budget costs that may be involved in a grassroots sports project. Facility rental, expenses related to renting a sports facility or field for training sessions, matches, or events. Equipment and gear, costs associated with the purchase or maintenance of sports equipment, such as balls, jerseys, training cones, nets, goalposts. Coaching and staffing, salaries or honorariums for coaches, trainers, support staff involved in delivering training sessions, organizing events, or providing administrative support. Player registration and membership fees. These are fees required for registering players with relevant sports associations or governing bodies and obtaining necessary permits or licenses. Marketing and promotion. These are expenses related to promoting the grassroots sport project, including advertising, printing flyers, creating banners, or developing a website or social media presence. Transportations, costs associated with transportation for players, coaches, and staff, such as fuel, vehicle rental, or public transportation expenses for attending matches or events. First aid and medical support. Provisions of first aid supplies, medical kits, or engaging medical professionals or trainers to provide medical support during training session or event. Insurance. Costs for obtaining insurance coverage for participants, staff, and equipment against accidents, injuries, or other liabilities. Administrative expenses, miscellaneous cost for project administration, including office supplies, communication expenses, legal fees. Event management, expenses related to organizing tournaments, matches, or community events, such as venue rental, referee fees, awards, trophies, and refreshments. Training and development, costs associated with organizing workshops, seminars, or training programs for coaches, staffs, or participating to enhance their skill and knowledge in the sport. Community engagement, budget allocated for community engagement initiatives, such as outreach programs, partnership with local organizations, or supporting of underprivileged participants. In the logical framework approach, the budget refers to the financial plan or allocation of resources required to implement a project or a program. The budget is an integral part of the LFA, which is, as we have seen, the project management tool used to design, implement, and monitor a project or program. The budget in the LFA serves several key purposes. One is cost estimation. Budget provides a detailed estimation of the financial resources required to implement the project. It takes into account the costs associated with various project activities, such as personal equipment, materials, training, travel, and overhead expenses. The context of budgeting, means and costs represent different aspects of financial planning and the resource allocation. In a budget, means refer to the financial resources available or expected to be available for a project or organization. It represents the total amount of money or funding that can be utilized to support the activities and operations outlined in the budget. Means can come from various sources, such as revenue, grants, donations, investments, or allocation from a higher level organization. On the other hand, costs represent the specific expenses or expenditures associated with the activities, resources, and deliverables of a project or organization. Costs are the financial requirements necessary to implement and sustain the planned activities and achieve the desired outcomes or objectives. We will now define and implement together a table which can be taken as a basic example in the preparation of a budget. The table consists of several sections, and we will give examples of compilation for each section. Imagining that in our project budget, we have to organize several master classes. Of course, this is only an example to describe a simple methodology that you can use. Normally, the budget is implemented using software such as Excel to make calculations faster and to allow automatic updates of the numbers in case we want to make changes to the project. By gaining experience and carrying out numerous projects, each of you will come to define your own preferred budget template, although sometimes specific templates required by the funder or templates agreed with the project partners have to be followed. Let's now start looking at the different sections of the table. The first two sections we will analyze are REF, which stands for reference, and activity. In our example, in the REF column, we enter code 1.1, specific to the activity Grassroots Masterclass, one of the many activities of which our project is composed. Having a specific reference number for each activity in the budget is important for several reasons. The reference number provides a unique identifier for each activity in the budget. It helps in easily identifying and distinguishing between different activities, especially when dealing with a large number of tasks or when multiple budgets are involved. The reference number ensures proper organization communication and clarity in the budget documents. As you can see, all the types of costs we are going to incur are defined for the individual activity, and in general, we are going to divide them up between costs relating to equipment and costs relating to staff. Making a distinction between equipment costs and staff costs for each activity in a project is important for several reasons. Separating equipment costs from staff costs allows for more accurate budgeting by clearly identifying and estimating the costs associated with acquiring and maintaining equipment separately from staff-related expenses. It becomes easier to develop a comprehensive and precise budget. This helps in avoiding budgetary surprises or miscalculation during the project implementation. The next section is the unit column, in which the respective unit of measurement, number, sum, hour, is identified for each type of cost. By specifying the unit of measurement for each cost item, it provides clarity and ensures a clear understanding of what is being measured. It eliminates ambiguity and confusion regarding the quantity or volume associated with the cost, making it easier for stakeholders to comprehend the budget. The unit of measurement helps in accurately estimating the costs associated with different items. It allows for a consistent and standardized approach to cost estimation, ensuring that costs are calculated based on a common unit. This accuracy is crucial for budgeting and resource allocation, enabling realistic financial planning and decision-making. The next section is the quantity per period planning, which in turn is subdivided into 4 columns, each for 1 quarter of the project's current year. In each column is then entered the quantity that will be purchased or consumed for each type of cost, measured according to the unit of measure indicated in the previous column. When the cost refers to staff, the concept of consumption refers to the time for which the staff is employed, and usually a working day is quantified in 8 hours. In our example, we therefore assume that the instructors will work for 32 hours, equal to 4 days, every quarter. The budget does not tell us when exactly these 4 days will be, but this is not important because this information will be stated in the project schedule. Our example has a division of time into quarters, but a division into months, weeks, or even days can of course also be used. The methodology of dividing the project budget into quarters involves allocating and tracking the project's financial resources on a quarterly basis throughout its duration. Each quarter represents a 3-month period, and the budget is divided and managed accordingly. Dividing the project budget into quarters allows for more detailed financial planning. It helps in breaking down the project's financial requirements into manageable segments, making it easier to estimate and allocate the resources for each quarter. This approach enables a more comprehensive and realistic budgeting process. The next section is cost per unit. Indicating the cost per unit in the budget refers to specifying the average cost associated with each unit or quantity of a particular item or activity. This information is important and serves the following needs. By indicating the cost per unit in the budget, project planners can accurately estimate the overall cost of an item or activity based on the anticipated quantity. This allows for more precise cost planning and ensures that the budget adequately covers the expected expenses. The cost per unit provides also a basis for comparing different options or alternatives. When evaluating multiple suppliers, vendors, or solutions, knowing the cost per unit enables effective cost comparison. It helps in making informed decisions regarding procurement or selecting the most cost-effective approach for a particular item or activity. To mitigate the risk associated to a wrong cost per unit, it is crucial to conduct research, gather accurate data, consult subject matter experts, and perform diligent cost analysis during the budgeting process. The next section is the cost per planning period, which is also divided into 4 columns, one for each quarter of the year. Each column identifies the total amount to be incurred for each type of cost indicated. The calculation is very simple and is the multiplication between the quantity indicated in the column of the same quarter in the quantity per planning period section and the cost per unit indicated in the previous column. Although this is not indicated in the example table, it may also be useful to calculate the sum of the costs for each quarter. The next section is project total, in which the sum of the quarter costs for the year is indicated. If the project lasts only 1 year, this column represents the total project budget. Otherwise, it identifies the year's budget only. Although this is not indicated in the example table, it may also be useful to calculate the sum of the costs for the year. The final section is annual recurrent costs. Annual recurrent costs, also known as operating or maintenance costs, refer to the ongoing expenses associated with the operation and maintenance of a project or its outputs after its initial implementation or construction phase. These costs are incurred on a yearly basis throughout the project's life cycle and are necessary to sustain the project's functionality and effectiveness. Annual recurrent costs typically include expenses such as personnel costs, maintenance and repair, utilities and services, consumables and supplies, training and capacity building, insurance and legal fees. Considering and budgeting for annual recurrent costs is essential to ensure the sustainability and long-term success of a project. Proper planning and allocation of resources for these ongoing expenses help in maintaining the project's functionality, maximizing its impact, and ensuring its continued operation beyond the initial implementation phase. Thank you for taking this lesson on the definition of right partnership and implementation of project budget. Now you can try your hand the case study by applying all the concepts learned in this lesson.